So thou, O son of man, I have set thee a watchman unto the house of Israel. Therefore thou shalt hear the word of my mouth, and warn them from me.
Have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather expose them.
Coming to you from an undisclosed location in Middle Tennessee and examining current events from a biblical perspective, this is Bible News Radio with your hosts, Randall and Stacy Harp.
Hey everybody, I want to welcome you to this very special edition of Bible News Radio, people. Yeah, it is. Hey, you know what? I want you to know that we had the air conditioner people come out today and the house is still hot, but you know what? The air conditioner's working. Yeah, it is. I appreciate you going on this journey with us from hot to cold. You know, that's okay. It's biblical. We're not lukewarm. That's important. Anyway, so today what I want to do is I want to share with you that I have a super awesome, really cool guest. And we're going to be talking about this super awesome, really cool book called Israel Rising. Look at this. It's bigger than my head. Look at that. I know. It's big. And my guest is here. He's Doug Hershey. And I know you're curious about that Hershey thing, aren't you? Yeah, you are. Well, we'll get to that in a minute. So what we're going to do right now is I'm going to welcome you all in. Thank you guys for coming in. Melanie, Annie, nice to see you guys. You guys are the first people here. And also whoever else is watching. Thank you for coming in. I am going to go ahead and share this out on our Twitter account. That way everybody on Twitter knows that we're live with our guest. And then I'm also going to go over here to our Facebook page, facebook.com/Bible News Radio. And I'm going to share this out on Facebook. And so if any of you are watching on Facebook, you need to put a comment so I can see who you are and shout you out if you don't mind, people. Otherwise, I'm talking to myself. Okay, here we go. We're going to go ahead and share this out. I'm going to mute that. I'm going to share it. Because that's what we do here on Bible News Radio. Yeah, it is. Also, if you happen to be tuned in to YouTube, don't forget you can make a comment or send me a message after the fact. Let me know what you think of the show. iPhone now has scrollable comments. That's awesome. Thanks for the update. Appreciate it. All right, here's the other thing. During this show, what I want you to do is go over to this website. Go over to EzraAdventures.com. Now, you might recall that Ezra is an Old Testament prophet. I think he has a little book in the Bible, in the Old Testament. Yeah, he does. Anyway, my guest today, that's his website, just so you know. Okay? All right. So who is my guest? You might be wondering. I already told you, but I'll tell you a little bit more because I could. That's my job. That's why you pay me the big bucks. Shalom. Shalom, Aaron. Shalom, Sonic's Glory. Nice to see you guys. Hey, you guys are going to love this. You're going to love this. You guys, look, I have been totally looking forward to this interview because I love Israel and I love Bible prophecy. And when I saw Gary Stearman and Bob had Doug on their show, I was like, I gotta get this guy on my show if they'll let him come over here. And he's brave enough to come on my show and talk to our massive audience. Then, then it would be awesome. So, hey, and I see you guys came in too. Hey, don't forget to share this out, okay? All right, Teresa, welcome back to the show. Okay, all right, go ahead, share that out. Okay, so who is Doug? Who's Doug Hershey? Yeah. Hershey, you know, you want to kiss him now, don't you? Yeah, you do. All right, anyway, he's an author, he's a conference speaker, a founder. He's the founder of Ezra Adventures. Which is an Israel-focused travel and education company. That's right. So what he is, actually, he told me he is a tour facilitating host. We'll talk about that in a minute, okay? Happy Pet Mother's Day to you too, Annie. You guys are so funny in the comments. Hey, Liz, nice to see you too. Good, I'm glad you're here. Hi, Teresa. All right, you guys are all here. You're gonna love this. Okay, and anyway, so Doug, he actually has gone to Israel numerous times. He's got a lot of local relationships there, and he loves history and all that. and he is based out of Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Lancaster.
Like Hershey's, that chocolate place up there. Mm-hmm. Anyway, and now he is brave enough to be on our show. Yeah, he is. So, Doug Hershey, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
So far, so good, right?
Yeah, hey, wasn't that the best intro ever?
That was one of the best.
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad that you agree. See, I planted that idea in your head. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, all right. So, hey, in all seriousness, I'm really glad that you're here, and I'm looking forward to talking to you about your book, because not only do I love photography, Israel, and history, but I love the story behind your book. So, if you don't mind, tell everybody a little bit more about you, because, obviously your intro didn't really say much, so I want to know more about you.
Right. Well, usually what I say anytime I'm speaking somewhere, at a conference or whatever, if I don't sort of have this disclaimer on the front end, I'll have people that'll come up to me afterwards and they'll say, I've got this really, I have this question I've been thinking about all day long, or all the time you're speaking, and I'm thinking maybe Middle Eastern politics, Bible prophecy, Hebrew understanding, etc., etc. And it's usually, are you related to the chocolate people? And so usually I have to say, yes, I'm related. No, there's no free chocolate. There's no inheritance. Let's get that out of the way. But I've been going back and forth to Israel for 20-some years. 20 plus years was probably my first time. And more in-depthly, I suppose you could say, in the last 5 years. 5 to 7 years I've been going on a more regular basis. And the last few years, especially now with Ezra Adventures just beginning, in the last 3 or 4 years, I just go for months at a time or half a year at a time and just stay on. I'd have groups that'll come to me, or I would travel out of there.
See, that's very cool. Okay, so I have to ask, where did the name come from? Because, a lot of people don't even know Ezra is actually a person in the Bible.
Yes, well, a couple things. Ezra in Hebrew, or Ezra, means help. And so part of what we do with Ezra Adventures is we facilitate small group travel in groups as small as 6 and as large as 12. Huh. And so we don't do big buses. We don't do big hotels or buffets. We travel in small groups. We interact locally with believers in the land, both Jewish and Arab. And we get involved in a lot of the different projects that believers are involved with. And so, and then on top of that, there's adventure day trips and unique biblical sites, because there's 101 different biblical sites that are profoundly significant in Israel that a bus just can't go to, or you can't take 50 people to. And so we love kind of hitting up those. So we're definitely sort of an off the beaten path. There's lots of people that say that, but when you have a small group, you can actually stay away from some of the larger tourist traps. But anyhow, Ezra, or Ezra, means help. And then also Ezra in the Bible was also a prophet who not only rallied people back to the ways of God and rallied people back to the Torah, but it was also somebody that was a primary figure in the return of the Jewish people back to the land. And so here we are in the second sort of second wave, as Isaiah says, that God says he'll return the people back to the land a second time in Isaiah 11:11. And here we are with God is returning people back to the land. And the first time he returned them back to the land was through Ezra and Nehemiah. And so there's sort of a twofold connection there with the name.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's so cool. And I also think it's super cool that you did this book right here at this anniversary time, right? Because you even have it on your book, celebrating 70 years, 1948 to 2018. I had to think for a second.
Right.
But this is so cool. Hey, did I give you the graphic to put up? But you probably can figure it out, right? So, this, you guys, look, hey, you know what? I'm not being paid to promote this, but here's the thing. I got this book because I love books, but this is the type of cool book that you definitely want to get, right? Look, first of all, look how big it is. Look at that. Yeah, see? And I got to stay close to the mic so you can hear me. It's like heavy. It is heavy. Unless you lift weights, then it's probably really light to you, but anyway, look at the inside. See?
I can't hear you very well.
Yeah, I know. Well, anyway, you're just going to have to get the book so you can see the inside. But what I love about this thing is it's beautiful. The photography for short, or photos. Come on, we're doing our best here to entertain the audience. You know. Anyway, it's superb. It's really, really good. But there's a story behind it all, which is the totally coolest thing ever. Okay, so you, Mister, decided for some strange unknown. Okay, how did you get the idea to do what you're doing? Okay, tell everybody how you came up with the idea, because when I heard this first, I was like, who would have ever thought of that? I mean, seriously, and yet you did. That's so cool.
Yeah, you know, it's I wish I could tell you there was some divine revelation or an angel shows up and hands me a stack of old photos or something like that. But it was really just simply from being in the land, just seeing a lot of the land change on its own. I you know, in the last, gosh, even the last just 5 to 7 years, everything from the archaeological sites to the cities to the actual landscape itself began changing. So much so where one of my favorite drives is going from the Sea of Galilee down the Jordan Valley down to the Dead Sea. And 10 years ago, you would drive probably 20 minutes, 30 minutes south of the Galilee, and everything would be desert. You would get out of the plush, fertile farmland of the Galilee and enter into just, you know, brown, gray deadness, you know, until you come over a little rolling hill and you come onto the natural oasis of Jericho. But most of that drive right now is green, with new vineyards, new farms, new fields and orchards, and it's the land itself is just really changing from desert to, you know, to life, really. And so as I began seeing some of those things, you know, I began kind of tying it in with history and just sort of my own little adventures and exploration through Jerusalem's old city. If you remember from being in the old city, a lot of these little shops have these little black and white photos of what they were in the early the early 1900s, and they're just really stunning and dramatic. And so I just began kind of thinking, man, I wish I could go to some of these places and check them out and see what they're like now. And being that I'm bringing people to Israel on a regular basis now with Ezra Adventures, I wanted to be able to show people that either weren't on the trips or could never be able to get to go on the trips for whatever reason, and start to bring a part of that together. And so it just really began to sort of all mold together.
Yeah, see, that's so cool. Well, and you know what? Frankly, there's a lot of people that will never be able to go to Israel because it's pretty expensive to go. It's not an inexpensive trip to get there. So, okay, so basically what you did then was you collected a couple of thousand pictures, is that right?
Yeah, originally I pulled together a collection of 2,200 old photos that were taken between the 1880s and the 1940s. And then somehow, you know, shrunk that down to about 100. Mm-hmm. That from about 25 locations all over Israel that we did a lot of the photo shoots at. And just, you know, kind of started piecing things little by little, put them all together.
Are you a firstborn by any chance?
No, I'm actually a thirdborn.
Really?
Yep.
Do you have two sisters?
No, I've got an older brother and an older sister.
Okay. I'm surprised. The only reason I say that, I guess that's my psychology background, but usually firstborns are usually generally very detail oriented. But you're a thirdborn and you're so detail oriented. I mean, that's not a bad thing. I'm just, you know. I
suppose we broke the mold.
You did. It's a miracle. Right here on Bible News Radio. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, but in all seriousness. Okay, so what you did then was you took these pictures, and this is what's so cool about this, everybody. Look, you look at Bible prophecy. The Bible will say something, you know, like the land is barren, just as an example. But then it'll say, but it'll be like a land flowing with milk and honey. But, like, how is that possible? If you've ever been to Israel, or you've never been to Israel, I can tell you the landscape is like Southern California. It's desert. It's desert. So explain that, you know, I mean, how a desert could become like flowing with milk and honey and be all green and all that stuff, right? I mean, right, Doug?
That's right.
Yeah.
And you know, even just on that fact alone, Israel right now is the only nation on earth where the deserts are shrinking. not expanding. And some of that is having to do with water technology, with drip irrigation, drip fertilization, with Israel pioneering a lot of things in desert farming and desert agriculture. They're not only demonstrating it in the Negev desert, but they're also using it in over 140 nations around the world that are asking Israel for their help for doing the same.
You know what? I actually read an article because of the 70th anniversary that we're all celebrating, where that was one of the things that the Jewish people have brought us is that type of irrigation and stuff. And
that's right.
And it's amazing because the Jews have actually, I should say us Jews because I'm part Jewish. I own it. Yeah, I do. Shalom. That's about it. Tuvia. I know that. Do you know what that means?
Tuvia?
Yeah.
It's the guy in the Fiddler on the Roof.
Really? You do not know what that means? Well, yeah.
Come on, everybody knows that.
But well.
Tuvia.
Do you know what it means? Do you know what Tuvia means? Do you?
No, I need to be educated. That's why I tuned in on the show today.
Hey,
I came from my Hebrew lesson.
I know 2 words in Hebrew: Tuvia and Shalom. That's it. I know.
So that means there's not one of you, but there's 2 of you?
No, it means God is good in Hebrew. That's what it means. It does. It means God is good. Yeah. Just so you know. See?
Excellent.
Yeah. Now you learned something. It's probably the only thing I'll ever teach you. Anyway. Do you want to say something, Randall?
Well, put me up solo because the other shot.
Okay.
But
let Randall join the show.
I really appreciated the southern interpretation there. 2 of you. There's 2 of you. Oh, there it goes. I was having trouble with.
Right.
Anyway, I'll put the 2 of you back on and the 2 of you back on and work with this.
That actually was really good. He's got a wit. Yeah, he does.
I can be funny sometimes.
Occasionally, I'm sure.
I get jokes.
Oh, that's good. Hey, Tommy. Tommy Norman is in the house. Tommy is one of the top periscopers in Periscope world. She just came in.
Oh, right on.
Yeah. She'll give her a shout out. Say hi, Tommy.
Hey, Tommy.
Yeah. Say it like you mean it.
Hey, Tommy!
See, she just invited followers now because you said so.
Perfect.
Yep. All right. Yeah. Anyway, let's talk about some of the pictures, though, because this is super cool. And for those of you who just came in, I'm going to hold the book up again. This is the book called Israel Rising. It's big. And I'm trying not to, I can't see what I'm doing because the book's in front of my face. But it says here, celebrating 70 years, 1948 to 2018, Ancient Prophecy, Modern Lens, the Land of Israel Rewakens. And actually, since, Doug, you're the one that put this together, why don't you tell me what page to turn to or a particular picture that you want us to show? Because this is super cool, right? This will show the past versus the present. And
let me give you a couple of them. This is off the top of my head. Turn to page 15 or 16, right out of the gate there. It is the oldest photo of Jerusalem ever taken from 1844.
Okay. All right. This one right here?
That's the one.
All right. Should I hold it up? There we go.
There you go. Perfect. That is the oldest photo, 1844. The Ottoman Turks do a census, ironically, at that same time in 1844. And according to the Ottoman Turks, in 1844, the population of Jerusalem, that city, or that small ramshackle little town that we now know of as Jerusalem, 15,000 people at that time. And over 8,000 of them are Jewish.
Wow.
And so there's always been a Jewish presence, and then throughout the last 2,000 years in Jerusalem, and then going 20, 30 years forward to Mark Twain. Mark Twain writes in 1867 about he's writing in his book Innocents Abroad. He's saying, I can't describe to you how small Jerusalem is. A fast walker could walk around it in about an hour. And so to give you an idea today, Jerusalem is, the population of Jerusalem is about 880-some thousand people. So, in 150 years, just dramatic population explosion for a city that had been forgotten for several thousand years, 2,000 years at least, until the Jewish people return and everything revives and things begin changing.
So from 15,000 to almost 1 million, right? So so there is Mark Twain is mentioned in here, just so you guys know.
That's right.
And I can't see it just to make sure. I don't know if
that's all right. Yeah, Mark Twain. When most people talk about the history of the land and what the land was like prior to 1948, lots of people know of Mark Twain's writings. So I have several pages in the book about some of his writings, some of the things that he described, some of his own experiences, and many of them I think are something he was disappointed in. I think he came to the land, really expecting something different, and much of his writing was really, really kind of downtrodden. I mean, he talks about that, seeing sheep on the far hillside eating gravel, and he said, I can't imagine they're actually eating gravel, but there's nothing else for them to eat. And he talked about being down by the Dead Sea, and he said the Dead Sea gives you a feeling of death and of funerals. And by the time he got over to Joppa by the sea, and he was boarding his boat to continue his trip down to Egypt, I believe it was. I mean, he was writing. He said, there's this land sits in sackcloth and ashes, and it's sad and depressing, and holds none of its former glory, and it goes on and on. So I mean, he seemed to be really quite depressed and discouraged. So anyhow, a lot of these photos from 1844, even up to some of the late 1800s, really all give a stark visual to a lot of his writings and what he described.
Yeah. See, I think that's super cool. Now, do you actually have the book there too yourself?
Me personally, no, I don't actually.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't have your own copy of a... Oh, that's a bummer.
I got it all right up here somewhere.
Okay, so you want to give me another one? Because this is super cool. You guys, this is really cool. I mean, this is like Bible prophecy and pictures.
Yeah, and 102. Let's go to 102 or 103. It's a large spread.
Okay, let's see here.
It's not a black and white, a then and now, but it's one that's really profound, and there's a wonderful story behind it.
Okay.
It's the heading of the coastal plains.
Yes, there it is right there. Okay. All right, I'm going to hold this up, you guys. This is a little bit heavy, so I'm going to do this. Hold on a second. I'm going to turn it around.
Good thing you go to the gym, so it's nice and light for you.
Yeah, I play pickleball. Do you play pickleball? You don't.
I don't. But I do eat pickles. Okay.
When I'm done with my book, I'll send it to you. It's called Pickleball Faith. You'll love it.
Excellent.
You think I'm kidding, don't you? Okay.
Okay, so what you're looking at here...
Okay, wait. Make sure. Am I holding it up good?
No.
My microphone's in the way, so I'm trying not to... Okay. How's that?
Perfect.
Okay.
What you're looking at there, that is called the Cursed Land, according to the Ottoman Turks in the late 1800s. Why it's called the Cursed Land is because nothing would grow. It was a swamp that was malaria infested, and there was no one lived around it, because people would, even traveling through, would contract malaria and usually die, if not get very, very sick. And so in the late 1800s, when the Jewish immigration begins, these Jewish pioneers come with literally like little bags of money to try to buy land in their homeland. And the Ottomans say, hey, we got a great piece of land for you. And so they sell them the cursed land. And so for hundreds and hundreds of years, the area that you're looking at is a swamp. And the Jewish people return. They literally climb into the swamps and start digging out irrigation ditches. They begin draining some of the swamps with soup cans. They plant eucalyptus trees, which are like sponges, soak up a ton of water. And so the town that is that's in that area right now is a town called Hadera. It's a strong, thriving Jewish community. As you can see, there's orchards, vineyards, farms, fields. There's some of the water pools there are for fish, for raising tilapia. And so again, this is a region for hundreds and hundreds of years was empty and desolate and a swamp, and is now one of the most fruitful regions in all of Israel for agriculture.
Okay, so one of the viewers is asking, where is this particular picture again, just in case they can't read it.
In Hadera. So if anybody's been to Israel, you've probably been to Caesarea. So if you're looking at the book, when you own the book and you're looking at it yourself a little closer up, in the very far distant horizon, you're looking at the Mediterranean and the archaeological site of Caesarea. is in the upper right-hand corner. And so it's about 10 or 15 minutes drive from Caesarea. This is a town called Hadera, or at least the area that Hadera is in. And again, it's one of the most fruitful agricultural regions in Israel.
Yeah, and it's not Turkey, just so you know. It's in Israel.
It's not.
That's what they were asking. Okay. All right. That's heavy. This is heavy. This is a heavy book.
Good job.
Yeah, I am. I'm
There
buff.
you go.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So this is super cool. Okay. So if you guys just came in, and some of you did, I know, because I saw you late people. That's all right. Bygones. My guest today is Doug Hershey. He is the guy that put this book together, actually. And what it shows is ancient prophecy and modern through a modern lens. Okay, so there's like 101 pictures in here. Is that what you said?
There are over 100 photo comparisons, so
Gotcha.
black and white, and photo shots taken from the exact same angle from 25 locations all over Israel.
Yeah. Yeah, and so this is so cool. So you'll see these pictures from the 1800s, and then he'll have one from 2016, right?
That's right.
Showing the comparison. And what's really neat is that like there's desert, like hey, this is desert, whatever, and then next thing you know, there's all this stuff, but there's more than that. I mean, there's a lot more than that. So
Yeah, for sure.
all right, go ahead, show us one more.
Let's go to the beginning of the Hula Valley. I can't remember the page, but it's I want to say it's probably in the 32, 33, something like that. It's in the front end. The Hula Valley, while you're looking for it, the Hula Valley is another swamp.
Is it Hula Basin?
The Hula Basin, yes.
Okay, I found it.
So
Now this is cool, you guys. I'm gonna hold it up. Okay, hold on.
Yeah, so again, the Hula Valley or the Hula Basin is about 30 minutes north of the Sea of Galilee, and the mountain range that you see there in the background is Mount Hermon, or Mount Hermon, as we say, if you're familiar with Psalm 133 about how it's how pleasant it is when brothers dwell together in unity. It's like the dew coming down from Hermon, and so so that's part of open up your book there.
Yeah, my ear set came out, so I had to put it back in my ear.
Okay, so the photo on the left is wow, struggling today.
Yeah, it just came out. Hold on a minute, people. It's getting tangled up. Okay, all right. So there we go. We're back together.
So what you have is the photo on the left is an empty valley. Again, a swamp at the time the photo is taken, and the photo on the right is from 2016. The village there is called Rosh Pina. It's an artist community, wonderful hummus. That whole valley now is packed full of agricultural land. Again, vineyards, orchards, fields, thriving communities, and so these are just one of again almost 100 photos from all over Israel that where the land has gone from desolate and empty to thriving and building, and the land is being cultivated, and for the first time in a couple thousand years, the land is producing. So one of the things that's profound about this, and just to make clear, with the book being called Ancient Prophecy, Modern Lens, the ancient prophecy is actually referring to Ezekiel 36. It's a unique prophecy that God is telling Ezekiel, prophesy to the land. And he says, say to the mountains, to the hills, to the ravines, to the valleys. And so, again, this is one of the photos where this is one of the mountains of Israel that Ezekiel was told to prophesy to, and the valleys that are right there. And he is basically saying when, like the photo on the left, when Israel is out of the land and it's being conquered and reconquered by the nations, the land will remain desolate. And when the Jewish people return, and begin to settle and begin to live there again, this word is being spoken to the land. You'll put forth branches and produce fruit. The land will be cultivated and sown. The waste places and forgotten places will be rebuilt. God is saying to the land, I'll treat you better than what you were at the first. And so what you have in the last 2,000 years, really since the time of the Romans in the first century, is that the region has been conquered and reconquered multiple times. It never becomes a homeland for any other people group, and the land physically would not produce for any other people group until 1948 when the Jewish people returned. And now the land is literally thriving. It's literally in bloom. And again, it's the only nation on earth where the deserts are shrinking and not expanding. So when Isaiah 27 says, "In that day Jacob will take root and fill the earth with fruit," it's literally and tangibly happening. So if you go to Costco or Whole Foods or whatever, and you're looking for Israeli fruits and vegetables and flowers, it's actually not hard to find. They're literally filling the earth with fruit, and it's a major export of fruits and vegetables throughout Europe and even into North America. And most of that right now is being grown either in places like, you know, the cursed land or down in the Negev desert.
Yeah, I have to tell you, I've only been to Israel once, but they had the best wine ever. I mean, and I don't drink wine. I mean, because, you know, if I drink wine, I get drunk. True story. Because I don't drink usually. On my 40th birthday, that was it. I was toast. But it wasn't Israeli wine. But that wine, when we went to Israel, I remember they had the breakfast wine.
Mm-hmm.
And so I took a couple of bottles with me back here to America. I did. Somebody later told me that was illegal, but
I do it on a regular basis.
Really? I don't even know if it's really illegal, but whatever. But it was so good, and then I tried to find it here in America, and I couldn't find any. I was really bummed out about it. I was like, hey, I want to drink this wine again. But yeah, I mean, the fruit there, I remember Randall and me were talking about how fresh everything was. Everything was just better. It was just better, you know?
And in terms of Bible prophecy, and even talking about vineyards, vineyards is something that Isaiah, Jeremiah, Amos, you know, a lot of these Old Testament prophets talk about when the people return to the land, there's going to be vineyards planted. The new wine will flow freely again, and so there are vineyards. I take with my groups with Ezra Adventures, our travel company. We take groups into Judea and Samaria, and we go to some of these vineyards, because these vineyards, there's Jeremiah 31:5 says, "Again, the vineyards will be replanted on the hills of Samaria, and the planters will enjoy its fruit." Since the time that Jeremiah spoke those words, those vineyards have not been replanted up until about 20 years ago.
Wow!
And we can take people there, and it's sort of a joke, but we talk about, you know, tasting liquid prophecy, because, you know, here it is that these are vineyards, these are wines that are being produced that were prophesied 2,600 years ago that has not yet been done up until our age and our day, and some of those wines are now actually being entered into blind bottle taste tests in Europe and winning award-winning prizes up against, you know, famed wineries of France and Italy, and you know, they're selling for $400 and $500 a bottle. You know, you can get one of their bottles for $40 or $50, and it's, you know, it's really, you know, really amazing stuff. So yeah, I know we joke about the wine and in the Bible talking about taste and see that the Lord is good, but that really is an aspect of what is happening in Israel. The food is amazing, the wine is award-winning wine, and for many of your viewers that are into wines, because Israel has such a unique topography in such a small area. So Israel's about the size of New Jersey right now, and you've got the Golan Heights, you got the mountains of the high elevations, there's the mountains around Jerusalem, there's different valleys, there's deserts. All of these regions are producing different types of wine and different types of grapes based on, based on the soil, on the rainfall, on the temperature. And so for those that are wine lovers, there's Ezra Adventures. We're starting to put together specific groups when people are requesting it for food and wine tours, because it's really a profound place to really enjoy all that the land is producing. And all of that is happening, again, tying into the books. I mean, all of that is happening within the last 40 to 50 years for the first time in thousands of years.
Yeah, see, I think that is so cool. Hey, everybody, if you just joined us, seriously, you got to go back and watch from the very beginning on Periscope for sure. If you're on Facebook, I can't say hi unless you leave a comment, but I see a couple of you are there. I want to thank you for coming in, because this show, honestly, if you are a Bible prophecy nut, I was going to say nutcase, but that wouldn't go over very well.
Okay. Let's be honest.
Okay, if you like Bible prophecy like I do, then you like anything having to do with Bible prophecy. And Doug Hershey here, God gave him this. I'm going to say God gave you the idea, just so you know. I think it was him, even though you didn't have a vision or anything. But
fair enough.
Yeah, he went ahead and took. He came up with the idea to see visually if you can actually see Bible prophecy being fulfilled in Israel. And sure enough, he collected a couple of thousand pictures, pared them down to about 100, a little over 100, right? And then he put them in this book, right? I mean, side by side. So, like right before we went on the air, I was at my my dad's assisted living, and I was talking to a lady who was telling me that it was hard for her to read the Bible because it's kind of sort of boring. Like, really? Anyway, long story short, I told her I was having Doug on the show and what the book was about. And I told her, I said, you like history, because she was saying it's history. And I said, yeah, you like history, but history is awesome once you begin to like it. I mean, let's just face it. Some of us had really horrible history teachers in school. Mine actually fell asleep in class. I'll never forget it. I won't say his name, but, just saying it wasn't a good experience. And that was a pun on his name, just so you know. But you didn't know that. You didn't hear it from me, just so you know. But he fell asleep in class. Literally, I remember all of us having to drop books. I was in 8th grade, people. It was a traumatic experience. And then, when I became a Christian, true story, my first biblical discipler, Boo, that was her name, don't judge. She had three sisters older. They would watch Yogi Bear and Boo Boo, okay? And she would go Boo Boo. Anyway, that's how she got her name, in case you were wondering. Anyway, Boo actually told me about Christian history, and she said, oh, the Bible's great. You should get into history and read it, blah, blah, etc. And the rest they say is biblical history. So that's really what this book is. Don't tell anybody, though. Sell it to them as a picture book, okay, about Israel, because the history might scare them off, but I don't think it will. All right, so
and that's one of the things I'm making as a point for people that are asking about it, because people will say any nation or any city will look better 100 years now better now than it did 100 years ago. Mm-hmm. And so what's the big deal? But the fact is that there's no other nation and there's no other cities on earth that have had their history foretold accurately 2,600 years beforehand. No other city or no other nation has had its destruction foretold, its desolation told ahead of time, to say this is how it's going to change, this is how it's going to happen as it comes back to a world power. And so even in terms of Bible prophecy, when we talk about sort of the Bible prophecy nutcases, and the reason we even make that comment and we sort of laugh about it is because most of the time it's all speculation.
Right.
Well, it's timelines. It's who do we think this person is, and what nation is that, and what do we think could it be happening, and is this that, and pointing to different things. The thing with this book and with these photos, there is no speculation. This is what Ezekiel said in Ezekiel 36. He said the land would be desolate until the Jewish people return. When the people return, there's dramatic and significant milestones that will begin happening. Also in the book, I didn't mention, but I have eyewitness accounts from Christians, Muslims, and Jews for almost every century for the last 2,000 years, describing what the land looked like. That's awesome. And so if you're into history, you can find an Arab writer by the name of Muqaddasi in the 10th century in 985. This is 300 years after the Muslim conquest of the region, and he's complaining about how that there's no worshipers in the mosque in Jerusalem, and the majority of the people in Jerusalem are Jewish. And so when you're talking about a Jewish presence and a Jewish people connected to the land, Christians, Muslims, and Jews for the last 2,000 years are describing what the land looked like, what the land experienced, who was really in the land, and certainly who wasn't in the land, and who was in charge, and what all was happening up until 1948, when the Jewish people return. The land again becomes their inheritance, meaning Israeli sovereignty is now over the land for the first time in 2,000 years, and everything begins to really come back to life, or really come really begins to awaken, as we say. And so, again, in terms of Bible prophecy, this isn't speculation. This isn't something that could happen. This is something that's happening right now. And so we're talking more about this as not just a nice photo book. We're talking about it as visual evidence that your Bible is coming to pass. And if you want to argue theology, that's one thing. But I've got a bunch of pictures to show you.
Yeah.
It's people talk about, is God done with Israel? And I'm like, well, let's go have that conversation while having a coffee in one of these waste and forgotten cities that have been rebuilt. Then we'll have that conversation. So theology is one thing. Dealing with literal, tangible proof and evidence is something else, and that's really what we're beginning to see in the nation of Israel.
Yeah, and this is super cool. I just want you to know there's people telling you that you're so appreciated. They're actually putting in your website on their own to share with other people right over here in Periscope. I want to say hi to Melanie and Diane. Thanks for coming in, Diane and Melanie, over on Facebook. A couple of you. I know there's more of you, but I don't know all of you, just so you know. But you're there, so you guys, seriously, this is the favorite part about my job. I get to do a lot of other stuff behind the scenes to get people like Doug on the show. But honestly, how many Christian shows on internet media, social media, do live streaming on 3 platforms and have guests of this caliber? I'm serious. I mean, honestly, you're getting a little dinky tour of Israel right now, right, Doug? I mean, seriously.
That's as the best we can right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's super cool. So we only have about 10 minutes left. So what I want to do first right now, though, is and you just ordered it on Amazon. Okay, all right. Liz just said she ordered it. There you go. One sold. Right, now, if we're on the Home Shopping Network, that would be so cool if we had this. Anyway, you guys know where you can get it. Is that the best place to get it? Is on Amazon?
Actually, no. Okay. Let me tell you about it. And let me tell you why.
Okay.
Actually, Amazon is a great place. I'm joking, but also you can find it on EzraAdventures.com, and now also on EzraAdventures.com. If you want an author signed copy, I'll sign it for you and I'll ship it out from there. But also, just released in the past day, actually just put it online yesterday. We also have an Israel Rising 13-month commemorative calendar, which starts right now and ends in May of 2019. It follows the entire full year of Israel's 70th anniversary. On that, it has the Hebrew days and months of the year in there. There's Torah portions on the weekends. You can follow the weekly Torah readings as well as the biblical feasts. But all of the photos from the calendars, they're some of the most stunning, some of the most dramatic. Some of the best, really, in my mind. Some of the best photos from the book are in the calendar as well. There you go. You're pulling it up. Look how sharp that is. And then also on the far right there, you can see there's an Israel Rising music CD as well.
Yeah, that's right.
So the CD is some worship music and with both Hebrew and English that really captures the heart of the land of Israel. And so we're doing this whole bundle of a signed copy of the book and the calendar and the CD for $50 on Ezra Adventures, or you can buy them all individually, or you can get it a little bit cheaper on Amazon, but it won't be coming signed. And you just can't get the calendar and the CD anywhere else. And so that's kind of cool too.
I know, it's super cool. Well, Liz just said, "Oh darn." She had an Amazon credit, so that's why she did.
It's funny. Amazon. I've been really blessed by how well it's been going on Amazon. A couple weeks ago, I had done an interview with the 700 Club. In fact, I think it's going to be on this next week as well. And after that interview, the highest rating I got was I was #1 in 4 different categories, including Judaism. Mm-hmm. It was funny, the #1 in Judaism, Israel and Palestine. There was something about history and I don't know, Bible prophecy or something like that. But anyhow, so the 700 Club and a lot of these shows like this have really helped with the Amazon number. So if somebody buys it on Amazon, please take 3-4 minutes and do a review and leave me a 5-star review and say lots of nice, wonderful, and glorious things. That would be great.
So we got you before the 700 Club, huh? I mean, you were there, but they didn't air it yet.
They aired it once. They're airing it again. They
did air it. Okay.
They aired it around April 19th, which is when, according to the Jewish calendar, began the 70th anniversary. May 14th is the traditional date as well. So they're going to air it both times.
You know what? I did not know that. I actually learned something new. I did not know that.
Well, according to the Hebrew calendar, the date is the 5th of Iyar. And so because the Hebrew calendar functions on a lunar cycle, and our Gregorian calendars focus on a solar calendar,
More or less.
why it just so happens that that May 14th, 1948 was the 5th of Iyar. So that's why sometimes like Christmas and Hanukkah line up. Sometimes they don't. That kind of stuff. But anyhow, so
that makes sense. Yeah, I have a troll in my room. He just said no one cares about Israel. But Liz just said, the one who just bought the book, she said it said on Amazon, this is a bestseller. So just so you know, so
awesome.
Yeah, so those people who don't care about Israel aren't going to buy the book, but those who do will actually get it. So,
well, here's the thing: is that there's always going to be Israel haters, and which is completely fine. But the fact is that according to your Bible, if you actually read it, is what it says is that God has placed Jerusalem in the center of the earth. That's Ezekiel 5:5, and that when Jesus the Messiah, or Yeshua is his Hebrew name, when he returns, he's not coming to New York or Los Angeles or Hong Kong or London. He's coming to a Jewish Jerusalem. Right. And there are specific things that the Bible talks about being in place before that happens. One being the Jewish people returning to the land. The most repeated promise in the Bible is that God will return his people back to the land that he promised to Abram in way back in Genesis 15 as an everlasting covenant. That's the most repeated promise in the scriptures. It's happening right now. It says that Israel will become a nation again, which it has. The people will continue to come. It talks about that in Ezekiel 36, the land will physically respond. The waste places will be rebuilt. The forgotten cities will be re-inhabited. And all of these things are happening. And always in the midst of a lot of those prophecies, there are these little hints and keys, and it's not so much of a hint in Zechariah 8 when he says, "I'm zealous for Zion. I'm coming back to live in the midst of my people." So the reason he's coming back is to be with his people in Jerusalem.
Yeah, and what's really super cool to me is when Randall and I went to somebody saying the Bible is all vile lies, burn it. Really? You need to read the Bible. But when Randall and I went to Israel, we were in the home of a mayor and his wife, and I can't remember if it was actually them or it was another couple, but whoever it was, they actually told the story how they were born in New York and they felt something just call them to go there. And what's interesting, as you know, and that was 11 years ago, I think it was, when we went. So, here it is, the 70th anniversary, and there are so many people that, God is pulling back there. And the other thing that I find interesting, I actually haven't heard anybody actually talk about this, is how all of these advents of DNA tests and stuff, and the interesting thing is, and yes, I rejoice that I am a little bit Jewish, part Jew, I have Jewish blood in me, but how I found that out, I find it peculiar, because I never would have thought it. I always thought I was completely French because that's what I was told. And so I look at all that stuff and I think, isn't it interesting that I've been a Christian for 35 years and only in the last year God would reveal to me I have some Jewish blood. Go figure. And the other thing is, my sponsor, much to my joy, is Ariel Ministries, which is a Messianic Jewish ministry of Dr. Arnold Fruchtenbaum. You guys can go to ariel.org and you can use the coupon code Bible News and save 20% on anything in the store. By the way, Catherine came in and Benita is there. Hey, Benita, yay, you joined. It's not over yet. It's almost over.
It's about time, Benita.
Yeah. But anyway, you go there and don't forget, go over to BibleNewsRadio.com. Get the Biblical Principles of Giving Bible study for free from Ariel. Download it. And also, don't forget to get the Eschatology Doctrines of Last Days. These are from our sponsor. So you got to support our sponsor, get that stuff, and all of that. And if you want to become a pillar of the community and donate to us, you can do that also over at BibleNewsRadio.com. Okay, because our time is almost up. I got to get that in there. But also, Doug, I want you to go ahead. I know you just shared where people can get your book, but I really, 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 really want you to share that again because I know you got to go.
Yes, EzraAdventures.com is the website, and also part of what Ezra Adventures does is we facilitate small group travel to Israel and Jordan, as small as 6 and as large as 12. So a lot of people that are coming with us are people that have always wanted to go to Israel but didn't want to be stuck on a bus trip and didn't want to do the hotels and wanted to sort of see the real land and experience. And so as far as our adventure day trips, I've taken groups snow skiing on Mount Hermon. We've done scuba diving in the Red Sea. There's dune buggies in the desert, caving. If you want to go skydiving, we can set that up. We've done dirt bikes and motorcycles in the mountains around Jerusalem, firearms training with special forces, Israeli special forces and such. And so we tie all that in with some humanitarian aid projects with believers in the land and unique biblical sites. And so that's part of what Ezra Adventures is. But also for Israel Rising, you can get the book, the commemorative calendar, and also the CD for that package of only $50 on EzraAdventures.com. And for those that are following on Facebook Live, you can sort of our main landing page for the book and for Ezra. You can find Ezra Adventures on Facebook, and you can also find Israel Rising, or you can find me on Facebook as well. And that's usually our main point of communication for our information and for speaking dates that are coming up and interviews and all this good stuff.
Yeah, see, that is so cool. Yeah, it is. Are you guys glad you tuned in? All of you are. I mean, there's a whole bunch of people in. Look, Doug, see, I'll show you. See?
Show me.
They're giving you love, man.
Hey, there I am. All right. Look at all those hearts.
Yeah.
I love it.
You're getting lots of hearts. Yeah, you are. People on Facebook aren't giving you any hearts, but that's okay. Benita doesn't have to. No.
She doesn't have to.
No, she's there. But also, you know, Catherine Lopp is in here, and she's a Messianic Jewish believer as well. And it's interesting how God connected me with her. This is so weird, isn't it, everybody? I mean, it's not that weird, but it's anyway. I find it cool. Just so you know.
I love it.
All right. So
you know Catherine.
I met her at NRB when I interviewed a whole bunch of people.
I love it.
Yeah. Do you know her?
Did you know that she's my girlfriend?
No, I didn't. No. No, I did not know.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, I actually interviewed her about her book.
Yeah, great book. I love it.
Yeah, that's so cool.
That's funny.
Hey, it's a small world. After
Indeed,
all.
I'll tell her.
Well, she just left.
Oh, she was on?
Yeah, she was on watching.
Oh, well, she didn't. She's been messaging me. I didn't even know that she was on.
Oh, she just popped on. Now she's off. Ooh, do you want some dating advice?
Now that she's off, absolutely.
Pull out the therapist hat in the last minute of Bible News Radio, people. No.
That's right. You tuned in at the right time.
That's funny. All right, everybody, in all seriousness, go get the book, get the CD, get the calendar. And,
love it.
Oh yeah, Benita's saying love is in the air, and now Catherine is back watching on Facebook. Just so
you know. She just missed it.
Yeah. So there you go.
Catherine, you just missed our advice. Oh well.
And everybody in Periscope's like, "Yay, she's his girlfriend!"
Yay!
See,
I'm happy too. By the way,
that's a good thing.
Yes, I am.
All right, everybody, we're gonna wrap this up, but go get the book. Go over to EzraAdventures.com, and seriously, I would love to go on your tour, because you know what the thing is. I'm going to say this, and then the show will be over. You know what really stood out to me the most on the tour when I went there? For some reason, this memory is burned in my memory. We were on the bus going somewhere, I don't know where, and then all of a sudden, in the middle of the desert, the bus driver was like, "Whoa, hold on just a second." And he stopped the bus. He got out of the bus after he opened the doors, and he goes around, he picks up this little turtle, and he moves it to the side so then he could go. And for some reason, that's what stands out to me about my trip to Israel. How nice they were, the turtles. I have no idea.
Is the kindness the kindness of the Israeli guides.
Yeah, I guess. But
wow.
wasn't that sweet? He didn't put him on a pole or anything. That would have been a bummer. But
He didn't make turtle soup out of him or anything like that?
No.
Okay, good.
Anyway, thank you for being my guest.
Hey, thanks for having me. This has been fun.
I thought it might be. And all of you out there, thank you for coming in and watching. I hope you have a good rest of your day. We'll be back tomorrow with Free for All Friday, where we're going to talk about this book again and some other stuff, just so you know. All right, so remember, be bold, stand up, and go with God, because he loves you. And go over to my website, and don't forget to download Bullhorn, the mobile app, and you can listen to me on that too, just so you know.